Today on Gunfighter Life, we're going to talk about NATO ammo. The truth, some myths. Is it right for you? Welcome to Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting tactics, the right way with God at the center, and real world, military, law enforcement, competitive shooting, and other relevant experience. See bio link in the show notes. NATO ammo. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. What does that have to do with you? Probably nothing, unless it drags us into war. NATO has its hands, fingers, tentacles, however you want to put it, into a lot of different pies. Some of that is a standardization of calibers, ammunition, and a lot of countries load NATO ammo. I think some people are of the opinion, especially in the prepper world, that NATO ammo is like the creme de la creme. It's like the best ammo. Now, it does have some advantages. So in general, you are going to have some kind of tolerance variation. It can't be above or below this certain amount of tolerance. It has to be loaded to within these parameters of pressure. It has to have water sealed or crimp primers. It may specify different things depending on the ammo, the contract. But basically the idea behind this is that topically, if we go to war, and I'm not saying we should, if we go to war right now when we're trading magazines or ammunition with Israel, they can grab our 9mm ammo and put it in their Uzi. If our supply convoy gets bombed or ship sinks or whatever, we can grab some of their 5.56. They were going to load in their Tavor and put it in our M4. And it won't blow the gun up, it won't be so underpowered, the gun won't cycle. That is kind of the idea behind the NATO. So that's one advantage, right? You do have some idea of what you're getting. It's not going to be off the rails. It's not going to be like some super light projectile. It's not going to be some crazy thing. The fact that it has, water sealed primers or staked primers, stamped primers, that may be an advantage to you. You live in a wet, humid, maritime environment. You like to run your guns really, really wet. By what I mean, a lot of lubrication. Some calibers are loaded a bit hotter than our general civilian ammo here in America, despite what we may think about, European men being a little bit more effeminate. They load their ammo hotter in general. So there's that, a redeeming quality. But if you're talking about some calibers like 9mm, the NATO is generally going to be considered on the American market more of a plus P load. Similar with 5.56. 5.56 can be, sometimes, not always, loaded a bit hotter than 223. Not always, settle down, but in general, it could be a little bit hotter. Not with every caliber, though. The reverse is kind of true with a 7.62x51 NATO or 308. 308 civilian ammo is generally and can be loaded quite a bit hotter than 7.62x51 NATO. So that's caliber specific. But if it's in a caliber that's loaded hotter for NATO, you may see that as an advantage or a disadvantage depending on how you're looking at that glass of water. Now, let's talk about government contracts, ammo contracts, the American military. Right, when they're putting in, like the military, I think it was McNamara got rid of the federal arsenal. Like when the military needs ammo, they put out bids to private companies to make that ammo. Remember how we talked about those parameters? Well, in general, the lowest bidder is going to make that ammo, which means making the best possible ammo is not the objective of that company making that ammo. The objective is to make ammo good enough that it won't fail those parameters at a decent enough price that they will beat out their competitors and win the contract. Right? So you're not going to get almost certainly the best ammo. And I think this is one of the big myths, that NATO ammo is like better ammo. I don't think that's the case. In fact, I think it's fairly low on the totem pole as far as ammo goes. It does have some quality control, so it won't be the very bottom, right? It won't be garbage Tula steel case 9mm. It won't be like remanufactured, mixed brass, dirt cheap ammo. That's, reman ammo, which can be fine for range fodder and practice. It will be probably better than that. But in my opinion, it will not be as good as just regular off-the-shelf, pick your name brand, and most of the major brands, right? Winchester, Federal, Remington, Fiocchi, Hornady, right? It won't be as good as that civilian-made ammo that you're going to get. In general, that ammo is going to be better. It's going to be more consistent, usually more accurate, better components, better primers, generally softer primers. Let's talk about this for a minute because this can be a big deal. Recently went to a steel challenge match, dug out the old Smith & Wesson M&P from, a long time ago, one of the early gens of Smith & Wesson M&P. I was going back to basics, going back to iron sights, running it in a competition. Well, I got a good deal on some NATO ammo. It was a really good deal. And I probably should have known better, but I brought some to the competition. I shot a little bit, just a little bit, make sure it fed and everything. I brought it to the match. And in one stage, I had, I think, 2 failures to fire. Nothing wrong with that gun, but NATO primers are really hard. Which, if you're doing a NATO contract, can be a good thing, right? That ammo might be, sitting on a ship off the coast in the cargo hold in saltwater conditions for 18 months. It might go on some back nasty jungle roads to freedom fighters in an old deuce and a half and bounce around and bump around. It might sit in some tar paper shack in Djibouti for a year. You don't want that ammo detonating. You don't want that moisture and stuff getting into the ammo. So you might want that harder, like staked primer. If you're running, let's say, rifle ammo through a machine gun, you may want staked primers so those primers don't back out. If you're not running full auto, you may not want the staked primer, because it makes the brass a giant pain in the butt to reload. But going back to the hard and soft primers, the NATO ammo may not be as reliable for you. Generally, the military, the mainline military, they don't fight individually. They fight in squads. If one guy out of 12, or even a fire team, if one guy out of 4 has a misfire, he knows what to do. He knows to call that out with whatever code word they're using, and 3 other guys will step up and take care of him till he gets that malfunction cleared. You want a mano fight where some Muslim fundamentalist that wants to cut your head off with a dull sword, or an active shooter, or whatever, you might be operating alone, mano a mano. You might not care so much about hard saltwater primer. You might care more about greater reliability. I think standard American civilian primers are far better than the NATO primers. And also, we went back to that, cheapest bidder. In my opinion, American ammo made to NATO specs, American ammo is totally, completely mediocre. There's a lot of countries in NATO that don't have the budget that America has. So think about that if you're getting NATO ammo from those countries. Another thing, NATO ammo is generally full metal jacket or light armor piercing, if we're disregarding like the tracers and stuff. In general, it's ball full metal jacket ammo. The exception of like 5.56 or the M855 or M855A1, like a lot of the 7.62, the 9mm, that's just full metal jacket. And you and I don't remember signing the Hague Convention of the 1890s. If you didn't sign that, maybe don't hamstring yourself. I know not everybody in the military has to abide by that Hague Convention. I know that America never signed it, but a lot of the NATO countries did. If you're not hamstrung having to use full metal jacket ammo, probably shouldn't. And I would never advise, unless there was some crazy reason, it was all you had and ammo shortage or whatever, but I would never advise you carry like NATO full metal jacket ammo in your EDC carry gun for your everyday carry handgun. Seems like a horrible idea for lots of reasons. Handguns are marginal at best. We carry them because we can carry them. And I love handguns, and I do more handgun training and shooting than with anything else. I love the handgun. But I love it because it's hard, because it's unforgiving, because it forces me to be better. But it's not the equal of a rifle or a shotgun when it comes to stopping power, effectiveness. Nobody sends their frontline main infantry into battle with handguns only. select. It might be a specialty guy where they have a bag of demolitions and a handgun, or a rocket launcher and a handgun, but main infantry line troops are armed with rifles, not handguns, because they're more effective. I would never advise you to take a less effective gun and make it even less effective by carrying full metal jacket ammo. If you're like the bare mediocre guy and you just want to get a Glock 19 and load it with, I don't know, 124 grain 9mm NATO ammo, and that's your carry setup, I mean, if that's you, I guess that's better than not carrying at all. But what I think is you can do better. If, think back to your dating days when you were probably single and hung out with a couple other guys that were single, had girlfriends, whatever, and you see the girl that's just a knockout, awesome, funny, seems super nice, super sweet, and she's with a guy that you just think, wow, you could do so much better. That's what I would think if I saw you carrying a Glock with NATO ammo. You could just do so much better. Let's talk about what it's good for. If you get a sweet deal on it, recently I found cases of NATO ammo and it was good, like non-corrosive, boxer primed. You don't have to know what that is, but it was good 124 grain NATO 9mm, which I prefer 147, but it was a great price. It was no shipping, $200 a case meaning 1,000 rounds. I was like, sweet, and I bought several cases of it. If it's just a sweet deal, go ahead. That's not what's loaded in my carry gun, right? But if I'm just practicing my draw at 3 yards, practicing a bill drill at 7 yards, maybe burning through some ammo, might as well be NATO. And if it gives me a failure to fire, well, then that's just a chance to do remedial action, tap rack bang or tap roll rack or whatever your tactilicious acronym is going to be. But if it's a really good deal, I consider myself a prepper, a survivalist. I don't apologize for that. Many of you listening probably are. That's not one of the questions I can find out on like the Apple demographics for the podcast. Are you a prepper or not? But I assume many of you are. If you can get the ammo sealed in good NATO ammo cans, that's a plus. The watertight primers and stuff, that's not unique to NATO. If you get really good defensive ammo, a lot of that is water sealed primers and stuff as well. But if you're doing like a cache of ammo somewhere, yeah, maybe NATO makes sense for that. I don't think it's the end-all be-all for stockpiling. If you told me right now, I'm going to give you, 10 cases, so 10,000 rounds. All has to be the same ammo. You can pick Federal, you could pick Winchester, you could pick whatever commercial brand, or you can pick NATO ammo for whatever caliber. I'm going to pick the commercial ammo. You're giving it to me, I'll just put it in ammo cans and I'll be fine with it. Put it in an ammo can, throw a hand warmer in there. I think it's better ammo. So no, I don't think it's the end all be all for storage, but it has some benefits for storage, especially if you get it already in ammo cans, and that's like baked into the price and it's a good deal. Some of that ammo came in these like plastic sleeves. Those plastic sleeves are awesome. You could probably just throw one of those in a hole and come back a few years later and it would be fine. So those are pretty cool. But we're talking more about the packaging than the actual ammo. But again, if you asked me, I would take the commercial ammo. So I guess a brief summary. It has some advantages. It's not as bad as the bottom of the barrel ammo like your Tula steel case. It's not probably as inconsistent as remanufactured ammo. But it's not the creme de la creme. It's not the cream of the crop. It's not the best ammo there is. It's, I would say, somewhere low to middle. And if you want to buy and shoot NATO ammo and stockpile NATO ammo, right, go ahead. I just want you to be informed and don't think that it's some kind of crazy thing when you hear NATO. You're like, oh, NATO ammo, that must be better. Just look at it soberly and circumspectly, and hopefully today's episode was beneficial. Tactical tip of the day. When you're cleaning your pistol slides. I think I learned this. L.A.P.D. I don't know where I learned this. I learned this a long time ago. When you're cleaning your pistol slide, clean it so where the barrel normally would be, the barrel should be out of it when you're cleaning it, but where the barrel normally would point, have that pointed down. and you take the toothbrush or whatever you're using and brush so that you're brushing up with the toothbrush. That way that debris and oil and nasty crud falls down outside of the firing pin channel and not back. If you turn it around, which is more comfortable to clean that way, you can get that oil and grit and grime and unburnt powder, little small metal shavings. All that stuff can egress down into your firing pin channel, which you don't want. Now, of course, you can clean your firing pin channel. Probably you don't need to do that every time. That's just a superior way, in my opinion, to clean pistol slides, with where the barrel would be pointed down, brushing up with your toothbrush. Your tactical verse of the day. You shall not take vengeance, nor bear any grudge against the children of your people. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.